So ako pala si Orland Espinosa, galing Iloilo. So nagsimula yung ugnayan ko sa sining nung 13 years old ako. So nag-start ako sa traditional process ng wood sculpture sa pag-uukit sa kahoy kasi clan kami ng mga sculptor sa Iloilo. So mga tsuhin namin, mga sculptor. So doon nagsimula yung practice namin sa art, which is very traditional yung approach. So kami yung umuukit sa mga meubles, mga mesa, upuan. So after that, years later, so introduce sa amin yung contemporary art. So paunti-unti na bago yung proseso namin. Pero nung pumasok din ako sa contemporary art, so naging una din sa proseso ko yung pag-uukit. So may mga sample din ako sa pag-uukit sa kahoy. Pero yun nga, sa tuloy-tuloy na journey sa art, so tuloy-tuloy rin yung evolution. So hanggang sa napunta ako sa ganitong approach, yung instead na sa kahoy ako umukit, sa pintura na ako umukit. So yung proseso is sa canvas pa rin yung pintura. So papakapalin ko muna mga 10 times or above. So kapag kumapal yung pintura, so gagamitan ko pa rin ng chisel o wood carving tools para maka-create ng mga random images. Sa pag-come up sa proseso, so first empty muna yung canvas. So nagsimula ako sa splattering. So i-create muna ako ng abstraction gamit yung pintura. So basically wala akong studies, walang sketches. So parang hinahayaan ko lang yung fluidity ng moments kung ano yung magdadala, saan ako dadalhin ng proseso. So nagsa-start sa abstraction. So kapag meron ng nakalapat na pintura, so may mga images ako na may suggestive na images na lalabas. Paunti-unti kong kinakapa yung mga imahe na pwedeng ilabas base sa mga abstraction ng pintura. So basically parang yung kabuuan ng trabaho is hindi siya intellectual approach. So parang emotional yung dating kasi hindi ko naman nilalagyan ng eksaktong mensahe yung bawat imahe sa canvas. So mas gusto ko yung approach na yung tumitingin mismo yung magkaroon ng attachment sa trabaho. So parang para sa akin kasi kahit ako bilang artist, ako mismo parang pinapangaralan din ng trabaho ko. So hindi ko binibigyan nung tamang kahulugan yung trabaho. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na walang kahulugan yung trabaho kasi yung trabaho is nagdidikta siya kung anong ibig sabihin para sa kanya. So bawat isa sa atin pwedeng mag-reflect habang tinitingnan yung trabaho. Kahit ako. So minsan niya kinoconsider ko yung self ko na hindi ako yung artist. So parang ako is part din ng audience ng trabaho. Kasi parang hindi ko rin alam kung saan nanggaling yung mga imahe. So doon ako nagkakaroon ng attachment. So hanggang minsan, nagkikwento yung trabaho sa akin na may mensahe yung trabaho para sa akin. So baka sa inyo meron din. So parang ganun yung dating ng approach. Pero ayun nga, nandito kami sa Linangan para linangin. No? So kaya nandito yung mga panelist para mas mahubog yung aming kasanayan sa sining. Kaya open kami sa mga samot-saring reaction. So yun, thank you po.
Well, first reaction is congratulations kasi this is very labor-intensive, highly finished works. You can see it from afar, you can see it from up close. It's very rich. So color-wise, yeah, I think it's beautifully done. There's a lot of, at first when you see it, para lang looks like it's just one blue, but then the more you really look at it, may mga subtle shades, may greenish, turquoise. It's very very magical for me. I mean, I see it as a sea, but at the same time, pwede siyang universe.
Yung chair, parang siya, inviting someone na makiupo. Pero hindi naman literal way na umupo talaga. So parang yung title ng installation is Disabasit. Parang gusto kong i-invite yung viewer na makiupo, makipagkwentuhan. So parang ganun. Kaya yung mga discarded na mga sa ilalim is parang memory siya na tinago sa ilalim ng chair. So, kasi part siya ng painting na dyan nanggaling yung mga debris. Kaya parang tinago sa ilalim ng chair habang conversation kayo naman.
I just appreciate looking at this. You know,
Thank you.
it's nice in terms of suggestion. Wala, I think keep doing what you're doing kasi I think you're on the right track.
Congrats din, Orland, sa parang hindi ko na 2 months lang yung residency based sa kasi solo show na to. Tapos ako pinaka na-appreciate ko as a viewer at na bilang nakakilala kita kahapon at nagkaroon ng pagkakataon na makausap ka a little bit tungkol sa naging journey mo as an artist na galing ka sa family ng mga wood carvers na basically yung craftsmanship talaga. Na-appreciate ko yung nakikita namin yung commitment mo na mag-explore. Hindi lumayo doon, pero i-explore at i-develop pa siya na maghanap ng ibang paraan at ibang forms na totoo pa rin doon sa history mo bilang nag-uukit. Yun. Actually, ang nagustuhan ko na sinama mo yung parang parte ng proseso. Ang interesting na kasi walang bawian, di ba? Pag naukit mo na, wala nang bawian. So, ayun. Siguro, yung naisip ko lang din, nakikita ko naman yung sinasabi mo na pagiging automatic, yung intuitive, para siyang automatic drawing, no? May mention mo yung surrealism, ganyan. Pero curious din ako dun kasi kahit automatic sila, yung lalabas lang naman na images mula sa atin ay kung ano yung nakikita na rin natin. Kung saan tayo familiar, whether sa environment natin yun or sa media na tinitingnan natin o ibang art na tinitingnan natin. So curious ako kung paano pa magta-transform or magbabago or magde-develop yung images na ginagawa mo. Depende sa kung ano pa yung mapag-aralan mong ibang art practices or ibang bagay. Ayun.
Congratulations sa works and sa mga nagawa mo sa residency. Maganda yung yung kinalabasan. Maganda yung background dun sa sinabi mo na you come from a family of craftsmen. I think that's very important, especially doon sa context ng, if you go to Iloilo, like, very prominent yung, I think in the Visayas, like, craftsmanship is really like a very prominent practice. And you're trying to find a balance between craft material and contemporary art, which is actually, maganda siya kasi ito yung new modes of art making that we don't always have to take from the Western Western canon of what a painting is like, diba? Like we don't always have to be submissive to what a painting should be like, diba? So we have our own understanding of painting. So I wanted to understand how you build the texture of the canvas, because I feel like so when you're a sculptor, you're somehow like sabi nga ni Leslie, like, very good that you're very much committed to exploring the material, the medium, ganyan. But when you're a sculptor, you're almost as if like you're tied to the medium already, like to the material. So for example, like if you work with stone, you just really have to work with that. If you work with wood, that's, yun na yun. But with canvas, actually, you have the ability to be able to treat the canvas as like a new object. So I think instead of like, of course now, like I understand, like you build the layers na pintura pa rin. But explore also other materials that you can use that can add texture. Like kunyari yung like beeswax or some other materials that would allow for the carving to be more prominent on the work. Ang danger kasi of this kind of work, especially when you have just one color. Although I like yung pagiging blue niya. And like Greg said, like makikita mo siya little by little, parang nag-open yung mata mo habang tinititigan mo, diba? Na iba-iba yung Although I like that, but I feel like there should be more build up so that we can understand that this is not just painting.
Yes.
So we don't need to, like, pagka nakita ko agad, oh wow, lakas na dating nito. This is something else. This is not simply, like images. Pero ang ganda ng imagery, ng symbolism and composition that you do. So just keep that. Like you're already creating a different world out of like a format that's truly like that also like kind of like belongs to you.
Yes.
So you just need to like work on that. So instead of us seeing seeing it as an object or a wood, we see it like a blue image of a chair. So parang it flattens out like so that's very good, like looking at that from like a very formalist perspective, parang nanalo ka naman na dun. but yun, maganda yun, But I think it would be fun also to see other objects pa na work mo. So, yun lang. Thank you, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Gerd.
Ako po pala si Jeanroll Ejar. Bali, kuhan pa ako, Tobong Negros Oriental. Doon po ako ipinanganak sa isang furniture shop ni Papa at ni Mama. Sa second floor, furniture shop sa ibaba. Bali, ang father ko po, kuhan po siya, carpentero at wood carver doon sa furniture shop din namin. Tapos si Mama, wood carver din at housewife. Dalawa sila. So, pero ang nagturo kay Mama, si Papa din, para makatulong din sa pamumuhay doon. So, habang lumalaki ako doon sa furniture shop namin, maliit lang naman, di malaki. So, palagi akong doon, parang naglalaro, tumutulong-tulong din sa kanila ni Papa, parang nagpapasaway sa mga trabaho nila, ganyan. Habang lumalaki ako, na-expose ako halos araw-araw sa mga gawain sa furniture, hanggang natuto na rin akong mag-carving, ng wood carving talaga. Tumutulong na ako kina Mama at Papa mula elementary, at nung high school ako, lumipat na kami ng Iloilo, parang search for a greener pasture ba ganyan, kasi sa Iloilo parang maraming opportunities doon. Bali doon din ako unang na-expose ng sa art scene noong 2012 na niyaya ako ng cousin ko na matandang kapatid ni Orland. Kasi architecture student siya, alam niya na mayroong mga exhibit, mga art contest. Bali siya yung nagyaya sa amin na gumawa kami ng isang work na hindi siya decorative. Kasi yung sa furniture, mostly mga decorative arts lang naman, mga floral, mga pang table, ganyan, pang chairs. So parang doon kami nagkaisip na ito yung dapat gawin sa mga competition. Nagmi-meeting din kami na dapat mayroon siyang concept, may narrative, hindi siya para pang display lang. So doon po ako unang nakasali sa competition. Tapos, hindi naman ako nanalo noon. Tapos, noong 2012, nakasali ako pinakauna sa group show, group exhibit sa UPV. Ang title is Gahom Kabataan, or yung Gahom, yung kapangyarihan ng mga kabataan ba. Doon ako unang nakasali ng exhibit na group show. Balikuan siya, wood sculpture yung pinasa ko. Bali doon na, umpisa noon, parang nagtuloy-tuloy na yung pag-join sa mga art exhibit na umpisa noong 2012, parang nagtuloy-tuloy na siya. Yung mga ginagawa ko pala is mostly yung ginagawa ko, yung mga ritaso sa furniture shop namin. So nung nasa Iloilo, patuloy pa rin ako sa pag-carve sa mga ritaso. Mostly nauna yung form. Kung nakita kayong ritaso, mga hardwood kasi kalimitan, kung ano yung form ng kahoy, doon lang ako nagbe-base kung anong gagawin ko. Kaya yung mga trabaho ko, mostly naka-series siya na hindi lang ganito, bali part lang to ng series. Itawag dito sa Wali series at Banig series, ganyan. Tapos mostly yung mga ginagawa ko, hindi ko talaga inilalayo sa Filipino concept. Kasi gusto ko na makilala din yung kung paano tayo mamuhay dito sa bilang Pilipino, ganyan, at magiging proud tayo dapat. So yung ginagamit ko po kapag nag-uukit is traditional wood carving talaga. Balikuan talaga, hand carve. Tapos yung carving tools ko, kanila Mama at Papa pa yan. Kasi hindi sila na nagka-carve ngayon kasi medyo may edad na. Tapos may mga carver naman kami. Nasa akin po yung mga carving tools nila, kaya ako po yung gumagamit, nadagdagan lang ng bago. Tapos hindi ko kasi gusto mawala yung wood carving na traditional. Habang nag-modernize yung panahon, gusto ko nga mananatili siya at gusto kong marami ding makakaalam. So ang mga gawa ko is mga ganito, halimbawa, hardwood to na haligi. Pinipili ko yung mga may mga sira-sira na kahoy. Kasi nagagandahan ako sa mga may sira. Kasi para sa akin, yung imperfections ng kahoy o natin, yan po yung nagpapaganda sa atin. Bali nagkakaroon ng ng kulay yung buhay natin kasi at gumaganda kasi nalalaman natin kung paano siya i-overcome at dahil na-overcome natin parang may nalalearn tayo na lesson na nagiging maganda pa yung buhay natin ganyan. Yung mga narrative naman ng mga gawa ko, mayroon siyang touch ng personal at mayroon ding para sa society ba sa karamihan. Halimbawa ito, ang title nito is Banig ni Mama at Papa, ganyan. Ganyan din yung dingding namin sa bahay, ganyan, yung sawali. Tapos yan yung nangyayari. Ang title kasi nito is ang family portrait. Pali si Papa to, si Mama, yung mga anak. Tapos yung Filipino parang religious na ng mga tao din, kaya may palaspas. Tapos ito about sa ito din yung bayong na ginagamit magmaninda, pero ginagawa ko siyang parang makapili. Kasi ang title nito is pili na parang sa consumerism ba na pinapatay pala tayo ng mga negosyo, ganyan. Tapos, ang background na semento, parang dito siya na-develop din sa Linangan kasi nag-exchange kami ng ideya hanggat nag-come up na maganda siguro ganito lang ilagay mo. Kasi gusto ko sanang i-paint na acrylic na semento lang na effect. Pero may nag-advise sa akin yung mga mentors na paano gagawin mong semento kung makapit naman siya sa canvas kasi textured yung canvas. Oo nga, no? Kaya malaki din tulong sa Linangan na develop kami ng mga concept dito rin. Parang nadagdagan pa yung kaalaman namin. Parang part na rin siya ng aming art, yung pagstay namin dito. Bali, po siya, ang po niyan message is urbanization against bahay kubo. Parang ganyan ba? May tendency rin na yung nangyayari sa bundok, mangyayari din sa urban na area pala. Ganyan. So yan po. Salamat po.
Isang na-appreciate ko dun sa trabaho na present mo ngayon, para sa akin, yung kung paano mo na-soften yung wood as material but also yung wood carving as a craft or as a practice. Tingin ko pinakakitang-kita yun dito sa mga banig.
Opo.
Na parang dyan ko nakikita yung pinaka-faithful ka dun sa wood as material. Na nakikita rin yung remnants nung material sa ilalim, yung mga damage nga, as you were saying. Pero na somehow, kahit recognizable na kahoy ito, na palambot mo siya in a way, na para talaga siyang banig. So, ayun, excited ako makita kung ano yung iba po pang gagawin. Ang interesting lang na, I guess hindi sobrang common makita yung wood carving bilang part ng contemporary art, but also yung domestic themes na ginagamit mo. So, ang interesting na napapag-marry mo sa.
For me, it's wow. You know, there's a very iconic Filipino theme here. Pero what you bring is a certain freshness, you know, in terms of mga subtle subjects or subtle objects here that you won't see unless you really carefully look, like the gun, you know, the scissors, or yung mga bullet holes, you know. It's very something personal, and I think that's one of the key, what makes it unique, what makes it your work. You know, I actually admire sculptors who can work with wood kasi, yeah, it's very difficult. You know, I mean, it looks very simple, but then to actually create it by hand, you know, it's something that you with experience can do. It's nice and fresh and really, yeah, looking forward to what you can do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, congrats, sana.
Hello, congratulations, Jeanroll, no? Parang kilala na kita dati pa.
Siguro.
Anyway, congratulations sa works mo.
Thank you.
One thing definitely I think that we all can agree, galing ng wood carving skills mo. You can really see like the attention that you put into the detail and how yung execution of working with wood, yung gusto mo siyang palambutin. Kita, ang galing ng transformation. Like, I think the reason why Leslie likes, nag-suppose na no, it's because of the transformation of the material. Like, that is a very important advantage that you have. Because when you work with something outside of the traditional format, very important is what you give to the material. Like, bakit kailangan mo gamitin tong materials na to? sa art mo, ba't di ka na lang magpinta, di ba? Or, you know. But for you, it's important because of the history of your family and like how you grew up. And also, I can see also that you have, you want this more than like giving voice to yourself, but also to your community. I think there are like a lot of implied narratives that are not said here.
Yes.
That you can see from some of the images on the work. But I feel though, like, for example, like, so, you know, very good on those things. And I really like na hindi ka natakot to use a different medium. That hindi ka na pressure to give in to other, other more like popular formats. On this one, on its own, okay na ako. But without the cement. Ang problema kasi with the cement backing, binabalik niya ulit yung wood into becoming a very like constricted object na like matigas. Tumitigas siya ulit pabalik. Eh ginawa mo na nga yung lahat ng ginawa mo para lumambot siya. Tapos titigas siya ulit. So napa-flatten siya. So parang pag tinignan mo siya, maano ka ulit. Parang a little like abrasive in a way. But from a market standpoint, like there are really things sometimes that you compromise with because of course like a lot of patrons would still like, although maganda yung for it like standalone, but of course like practical wise they would be more parang more like friendly to formats na madali i-install sa bahay.
Magaan.
So, but it doesn't mean that you have to always just work according to what the market wants. Because first and foremost, hindi naman yun yung gusto mo. But sustainability is important. So in order for you to be able to develop your practice, you also need to sustain it financially.
Kanina, you were saying na yung sa nakaraan mong trabaho sa inyo, mas decorative. Kaya ka nag-divert na parang mas gusto mo ng, di ba, parang sabi
Yung pinaka-challenge yung kung paano gawing na hindi siya maging decorative.
Yun nga, kaso kasi yung tendency, pag binind mo ulit siya sa pader, nagiging dekorasyon siya ulit. Ayun. So, siguro mas exploration ng ano pa yung ibang
Parang nag-try na ako
paraan ng
dito.
pagpe-present.
Sige, salamat po, mama. Salamat.
Good afternoon. Ako nga pala si Carlo de Laza. Everyone, thank you sa pagpunta sa Patikim. Ako ay galing Rizal, tubong Rizal. Nagtapos ng college sa UP College of Fine Arts, major in sculpture. Mahilig ako mamundok, mahilig din magkape, ganun. Mostly yung mga works ko, sculptures. Yung practice ko, nag-revolve siya before. Usually yung ginagawa ko sa practice ko, mga figurative na casts, usually ginagamit ko, gumagawa ko molde, sculpt ko siya from a soft material, then I create molds. So, yun yung mga ginagawa ko before na mga works ko during my practice. Yun din siya siguro sustain din sa akin, sa art ko, kaya ginagawa ko pa rin siya hanggang ngayon. Pero going here, dito sa Linangan, parang challenge ko rin sarili ko. Kumbaga, ito na yung perfect time para sa akin na makapag-explore ng ibang material, maka-explore na ibang process, kumbaga labas sa usual kong ginagawa or sa mga ibang natutunan ko before pa nung nasa college ako or sa mga experiences ko sa art. So yun yung parang naging goal ko, kumbaga, going here na parang how can I challenge myself sa ibang mga bagay na hindi pa ako komportable or gusto ko pang matutunan or gusto ko pang explore. So, parang nakafocus yung mindset ko na parang mag-try na ibang material. So, ginagawa ko before mga cast siya, mga resin, mga gano'n. Na pwede ko ibuo sa isang molde, gano'n. Ito yung una kong ginawa for the residency. Parang first week, parang nag-prepare ako ng mga, kape, coffee grounds, na kinolect ako over time. Tapos parang gumamit ako ng binder para, gumamit ako ng binder para siya mamamanipulate ko yung material kasi parang mahilig ako magkape, like ko tinatapon siya. So parang same time, but naisip ko parang pwede akong discover, pwede ako gumamit ng ibang material na pwede kong material na pwede gamitin sa art ko kasi parang gusto ko siya i-explore. Pero parang nung ginawa ko na siya, parang after unang mentor namin, may nag-click sa akin na parang hindi pa rin ako lumabas, kumbaga, sa process ko. Hindi pa rin ako lumabas sa comfort zone ko ng paggawa. Yun pa rin yung process ko. Kinalk ko pa rin siya sa soft material, sa clay. Ginawa ko pa siya ng molde. Nag-iba lang yung, kumbaga, yung material na ginamit ko. So parang mas gusto kong mag-try na ibang process, kumbaga. So since ito parang substitution siya na process, gusto ko mag-try na iba pang paraan ng paglikha. Kasi medyo komportable na ako sa paano siya gawin. So, using yung mga ibang natutunan ko, how I created the material here, tinry ko yung ginawa ko yung works ko ngayon. So parang concrete siya na hinaluan ko ng resin binder para mag-adhere siya dun sa kahoy. Ano ko yan parang yung experience ko dun sa material, nakuha ko lang siguro early this year na parang from sa isang project na ginawa ko na pag-restore ng mga concrete na sculptures. Tapos doon din pumasok din yung idea ko na parang yung paggamit ng material, how I can siguro i-connect ko doon sa pwede kong gawing narrative or subject matter ng mga trabaho ko. Question na rin sa akin na parang i-restore natin yung mga ganitong bagay na part siya ng heritage na colonial. At the same time, may mga bagay na katulad ng mga gubat natin, ba't di na natin sila na ano. At the same time, yung mga concrete na yun lagiging natin benchmark sa mga progress kapag pupunta tayo sa mga probinsya, may mga bagong subdivision, yung mga ganun. So parang yun yung conversation na nabuo ko, kaya doing this work. Karamihan doon sa mga kahoy na ginamit ko dito, natagpuan ko lang din here, dito sa Cavite. Inalter ko siya, di ko na inalter yung form niya, kumbaga as is, kasi parang ginamit ko yung wood as a ground for concrete, kumbaga. As a representation natin how we built upon nature, kumbaga. So yung nature yung ating canvas, kumbaga, how we create our existence sa mundo. So, ayun, thank you very much for tonight.
Congrats sa presentation.
Thank you.
Curious ako kasi kitang-kita naman namin yung commitment mo sa pag-explore. Parang what else you can do with what other materials, ganyan. Na sinasabi mo na dahil nagiging komportable ka na dun sa materials at sa process na ginagawa mo, gusto mo mag-explore ng iba.
For me, I like this work kasi there's parang primal response to this when you see it, human body, tapos there's a nature involved. Parang for me, it seems like you're commenting with nature, what's happening now with the world, climate change, burning forest. Kaya it's a beautiful piece. I wish na maybe in the next one, maybe you can explore like burnt subjects, like make it more, I guess, variation, like where you're leading to. I mean, now it seems like it's beautiful, with all the different objects and parts. But also, I think with the commentary, maybe you can have like a subtle variation with that, like different types of wood, burnt ones. I mean, for me, it's very well done, very subtle. He didn't go fully anatomically correct, talagang, it's proportional, but then you know what I mean, like, not highly detailed enough to know what it is. So yeah, very well done. And then you explained to me the material. That's very hard to do. Unlike this one, you said everything's parang casted. This, I feel like you're working as a painter, as opposed to sculpting.
Yes.
Because you're putting it piece by piece, like you're painting paintbrush, as opposed to one go. So I don't know. Yeah. Congrats, and yeah, keep doing this.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Maganda yung work mas always naman. Pero I think just a few things. So, I like the idea that you're trying to get away from what you already know, what you're comfortable with, because as artists, that's really how you grow. But at the same time also, like, sometimes like working on something that is different outside of your comfort zone can also be like the catalyst to strengthen more what you already know. Parang minsan, parang, oh, okay, alam ko na yan, like, gawa ko ng iba, pero, and then you realize something from that you can take to the one that you're comfortable with to make a new, parang, approach that belongs to you. So I like the idea of like, yung merging nature, representations of like nature and human, and like parang how we learn to live with the environment that we're with. Reminds me also of like, but also it could be in a way, like it could be also like a very literal representation. But this, as you said, like that's the easiest, like figuration is also like the easiest form of making the audience understand. Yeah. But I think also sometimes like we also need to, we should trust the audience also to allow them the opportunity to understand the work, even if it's in a format or with images that cannot be easily understood. Like for example, like I think an example would be like Louise Bourgeois in creating the mother in the form of a spider. You know, those kind of things. Like you're still using elements from nature and images from nature that people can understand, but doesn't really like literally like testify to the narrative that you want to present. But in terms of like, that's why I think my favorite from this is that one, yung mga naka ano. Because I can't figure out if that's a human hand or it's a parang monstrous. So you're presenting something that we understand that is part of the body, but we're not sure what kind of body it is from. So I really like that because that gives you like more perspective. That gives the audience more perspective in looking at how art can change the way we look at the body or the forms of living. So I really like that. So yun lang.
Thank you.
Before I start, I just want to acknowledge a few people in the audience. I wasn't expecting them to come. Kasi inisip ko, imbitan ko lang, hindi naman nadating yan. Layo eh. Tapos, yeah, so I placed undue pressure on myself. Si Dr. Devi Paes, then si Sir Eboy are here. Si Dr. Paes was my teacher in English. So she basically taught me how to write. Si Maki Blanco and Virgie are here. Si Maki is my comrade in arms sa Malacanang Communications Department. So, teammate kami sa pag-craft ng messaging for the President. So, pressure din kasi ngayon nila makikita kung paano ko i-apply yung mga disciplines na to. And si Carl Orit, the writer Carl Orit. Saan si Carl? Ayan yan. So, kainuman. And of course, one of the best decisions in my life, Angeli, my life partner. This is actually the first time she'll be seeing me speak publicly. So panelists, help me look good. Anyway, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming and staying. My name is Pancho Alvarez. I'm from Bicol. I started full-time painting in 2019. Before that, I was a government worker sa Malacanang Communications Department from 2010 to 2015. Tapos 2015, And then we were both through 13 kay Ma'am Lenny. So I was a speechwriter, si Maki was the policy head. 2015 to 2018, I started my own shirt company until finally in 2019, yung linya-linya. In 2019, I took the leap and started painting full-time. So my presentation would be divided into 3 parts. So the first one is share my perspective on everything. Kasi, yan, in life in general, kasi very reflective siya of how I approach my practice. So the second one is I would be showing a few old works just to get a bit of grounding of how this collection came about. And then finally, the collection itself, I would be talking about it in detail. So my approach basically with everything is early on I realized that essentially everything has a process, has a format, a system. For example, nilang both natural and man-made. For example, nilang storms. Diba? It needs the right conditions for it to form. The right humidity in the air, the right amount of water, the right amount of temperature, and then you can predict its movement based on the location of high pressure and low pressure areas. So, lahat yun may order. So, pag man-made naman, for example, governments or businesses, may ina-attach na system to them for it to work soundly. So, yun yung obsession ko, finding those systems and learning how to manipulate each. And since kung ganun yung approach ko sa mga bagay, ang daming pwedeng gawin. So, trinay ko in terms of my practice, I tried to funnel it into identity. The reason why is because there are a lot of things attached to identity. For example na lang, gender or ethnic, something racial, regional, a lot of things. Mayaman yung topic of identity. So on to the second part, just to illustrate my point, so I will be sharing two old works. The first one is commissioned work. So these are traditional Japanese planers, antique. So they're Japanese in origin. Tapos I turned them into anitos, yung mga pre-colonial gods and deities natin. So yung prospect lang of appropriating a certain material that is foreign into our culture, kasi ganun naman nangyayari sa isang globalized na mundo eh. It's how you use it to your advantage. So for example, mythology siya. This one here is Gugurang, the Bathala of Mayon, brother of Aswang. So dito galing yung folklore of the Aswang that we all know. Trinay ni Aswang kunin yung apoy kay Bathala, kaya siya na-banish at dun kumalat yung race ng mga Aswang. Yan, more examples here. Si Balangay, Ilonggo siya in origin, o mga Ilonggo, Hiligay noon. Si Angalo, origin story ng Visayas, although Ilocano siya in origin, and so forth. Tungkong Langit, Kadaklan, stuff like that. Second one would be the project that I worked or still working on. This has been accepted to one of the residencies before, Linangan. This is about climate change. So the identity aspect comes from how I angled it. Kasi international yung residency na ni-applyan ko nito kung saan siya na-accept. So yung identity part of it is climate crisis in the eyes of the Filipino. The prevalent image kasi of climate change is a polar bear on a slab of melting ice, di ba? We don't have polar bears in the Philippines. We don't have melting ice in our seas. And yung reality of the climate crisis sa atin are submerged barrios, failed trace, damaged infrastructure, or at worst, yung drowned bodies along the street. So now we have mythology and then the identity of the climate crisis in the Philippines. We go to the works that we are seeing now. Here at the residency, at the Linangan Art Residency, I chose religion. Religion as a tool by our colonizers to introduce their culture. The medium used was ink blots on paper. The reason why I use that medium is because so that I can achieve the kind of distortion I like. Kasi after all, colonization is distortion. Diba? You have to break an existing culture to introduce a new one. So, the pictures that you see here of our actual saints, so the popular ones. So 11 apostles, sans Judas Iscariot, of course. And then I added 9 more, feminine, just to balance things out. So we have Mother Teresa, we have Saint Clare of Assisi, Mary Magdalene, and Mary over there, etc. Just to balance things out. So another reason why I chose religion is because it is still existing to be one of the strongest links we have to our colonial past. Diba? When you enter churches, you would see huge murals of saints that don't look like us. They look like foreigners. So imagine na lang the effect if someone who looks like them comes to our country and starts hanging out at Greenbelt 3. On a deeper level siguro, not really deeper, on a different level. Kasi when we talk about saints, we're talking about their transcendence from the human form. Their sainthood means that they have been translated into a symbol, and symbols are metaphysical, meaning they do not have form. So we make do of what we have, of the metaphysical that we experience with them. So that's the concept part. On a more personal note siguro, the title of the whole collection is Santo, and it sort of sounds like Santo, which is very location. Reason din for how I realized the space na it should feel like a church in the province during Easter. As you go on after the panels grill me with their questions, you can use what I said as a guide on how to interact with the artwork. Kasi the main purpose naman of the artwork is not just to send a message of colonialization or to spark conversation about it, pero to challenge you din. How do you construct the saints based on you seeing it? Do you construct it as a foreign person or do you construct it in your image? So, two purposes lang. Yeah, spark colonization, at the same time, dialogue with it. What do you do with the image? The silhouettes of the saints are still there, but their faces are distorted. So, siguro that awareness na lang alone could bring some kind of idea of how you interact with it. Thank you.
Yung itsura actually sa akin nung paintings mo ay very controlled.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious kung paano nagpe-play yung spontaneity ng ink blots at yung Rorschach imagery. Kasi kung hindi man saints, very legible naman na human figures sila. So I'm just curious kung paano mo yun ginagawa na ina-allow mo ba talaga yung spontaneity ng watercolor, I guess? Or ink. Or parang meron pa ring decisiveness dun sa pag-manifest ng ink blots. Na parang if it doesn't look right, then you scrap it. Something like that. So, yung sa intention mo, parang how closely did you want to, or do you want to? Kasi diba, nakakwento mo sa akin kagabi na meron ka pang intended na parang larger, more finished na iteration. You were mentioning last night. So yung tanong ko doon ay kung gaano mo ba, to what degree do you intend to mimic yung symbols ng church? Like for example, I'm just curious kasi kung kunyari yung framing, is this how you actually want the framing to be? Kasi with these ones, medyo obvious na parang may pagka-plastic yung frames. Parang would you intend na mas ornate sila in a more ideal iteration?
So explicitly like non-Filipino, because you wanted to present religion as a weapon of colonization.
And as a way to deconstruct it na.
So more like decolonization.
Yeah, decolonization.
That's a very interesting subject, but also like that dominate a lot of institutional-based artists. So, and like when you work with something like that, there's a very sensitive also direction. So you have to go into like layers and layers of lots of research. Kasi madaming claims yan eh. So I know that you wanted to build it as a church. Now, when you look at like...
Make it feel like a church.
Feel like a church. So like when you look at the history of churches, so they always like to make things monumental, bigger than life, because they want you to feel that, diba? But here kasi, sorry, but I don't feel that. But I feel like going back to the discussion earlier, you wanted to do like a Last Supper. So why not do that instead, like a bigger one that is more regal, that is more imposing. But also, like for example, when you make, especially for this kind of situation, so you wanted like site-specific and situation-based on the context of Patikim as like parang presenting studies, no? You don't need to like always be pressured to have a finished product.
Excuse me?
A finished product, like
Yung pressure sa...
yeah. No, I mean like like for example, if you wanted to do something that's more monumental, like you can just present it as it is. Like hindi kailangan siya na tapos siya. Like if you intend to do something that is monumental pero feeling mo kulang ka sa time, because the purpose of residencies are to foster yung practice mo. So okay lang to present something that's not totally like... Ang point niyan is to see already the potential and also like to see what direction it might go. So, paano pag wala yung like kanina pa pinag-usapan namin ni Leslie, yung paano pag wala ka doon to explain or like it's not the context of the presentation is, maybe different from or like very alien to the audience. So how do you want to have your work read or like the experience? How can you translate that to an audience who does not understand or who's not familiar with iconography or like religious influences?
For me, I find these works beautiful. In terms of there's a certain duality here. There's that Rorschach abstraction, but then when you get close, you see all the different manipulation, fragile details with that. I especially love the hands. Very nicely controlled. For me, I think a simple frame will work. Because your subject is really, I do get you're trying to get a chapel or church feel here. The gold is important. But I think also a simple frame can actually work with this. It really focuses on the work. And just congrats, because I know this is a learning process. As artists, you just need to really explore. Don't stop from this. I've seen your other work. So there's a idea there that actually connects with this, certain jumps. So it's just a continuous exploration with that. And like I said, there's going to be, the more you work, I think the more you'll find who you are, and just be honest. Honest as in not pleasing the commercial aspects or the galleries, but being true to your artistic side. And from there, I think it'll lead you to, works that I think you'll find more satisfying. But yeah, congrats.
Thank you for this.
Maraming salamat po sa lahat at congratulations sa ating mga residente. Bagwisang Bagat, congratulations. So, konti na lang, kapag-shoot na ulit kayo. So, gusto lang po muna natin mag-recognize at pasalamatan ng ating panel for their thoughtful and talaga namang mayaman na feedback sa ating mga residente. So, itong appreciation to Miss Leslie Ancao. Choosing panelist. Ikaw yung una muna kayo. May sword. Certificate of appreciation to Mr. Gregory Halili for being a panelist. Salamat, Gwen, for honoring us with your presence as Patikim family. We present this certificate of completion to Elwa Gonzalez for completing the awarding program. So, si Elwa Gonzalez po was from a graduate of the last batch prior to this batch, Carlo de Laza. Miguel Cervantes. Ayan. Reynales. Siningning Aly. Pancho Alvarez. Voltron Orogan. Orland Espinosa. Jeanroll Ejar. Benedict John Simbulan.
Tuwing pagkatapos ng mga ganitong okasyon, it's always parang it never ceases to surprise us, no? With how things turn out. Parang laging nakakapanibago, laging parang it's a source of energy and inspiration, no? Kasi these guys might think they're learning from us, but we actually learn from them as well. So with each new batch, there's a mutual learning that's happening. That's why we keep doing it in spite of the demands, no? The way it consumes us and the way it challenges us in many ways, no? Parang whether for good or for bad, something is learned always, no? Yung ganon. Kaya again, parang parang what happens after an event, there's some sense of letdown, no? Parang malungkot at pero but that's just a stage. After this, I think all of you, no, parang are pretty much enabled, no, to make it, to really do well in the scene, no. But I hope beyond dealing or kind of parang pursuing personal goals, let's just hope that the personal is beyond oneself, no? Yung ganon. So maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga panelists. Thank you for everyone for tawag nito, for the patience of parang for all the grilling that took place. No? So by this time, bihasa na kayo magpaliwanag ng sarili nyo, magsaad ng inyong mga kaisipan at kalooban. No? Tapos na-realize nyo, ganun lang pala yung arte, no? So, with all that, maraming salamat po muli.